Let's talk about perspective. And there are a lot of misconceptions and misinformation about perspective out there, and unfortunately, it's making some artists, beginners, pro, have this fear when it comes to perspective. Um, Most people, when they hear perspective, they think about mathematics, and it's not really that. Perspective mainly means point of view, and so we'll break it down. We'll take it step by step so you understand. Very important. It simply means point of view. And what does it mean? The English word, that is the same thing. Point of view, your perspective it has to do with an individual, a person looking at a point. Is point of view. We have a spherical earth. We all know the earth is not this spherical. We are not going into those kind of details. It's round, or know that. So we have a spherical world. Let's say we have a spherical world. Now we can't look at the world from everyone's perspective. We can't. We have to look at it from an individual. It's like you seeing things now. When you look at things, like your eyes is like a window that unveils, the whole world. So let me take this out. Let's say your eyes, as I'm explaining, I'll be giving you guide, is like a window. There's this world out there, but since you are looking from the window, it's the things you see from that window that you'll be able, it's through that window you'll be able to see new things. You'll be able to see trees through that window, which is your eyes. So it's your perspective. You're able to see trees, water, things in grasses. Let's say grasses in the foreground. So you can't see anything outside of that window. So that is the way our eyes work. There are other animals. If you look at other animals, the way their eyes are positioned make them give them the ability to look at other things out there. Now there are some animals that don't just see things in front of them; they see things, around them, and they're active. So, but we using the human perspective, because one thing with art, it's more of telling the story, because we are drawing and our audience are humans. So definitely our perspective will be highly influenced by human's perspective, human point of view. So when you look at the eye of the individual, that is what we are talking about. What the individual sees. What the individual sees becomes his point of view. That is the perspective. So now, why do we have issues with perspective? It's because we are looking at a world, as we talk about it being spherical. We're looking at a spherical world, and we are not outside this sphere. We are inside. Say this is where the individual is. We are in this sphere. So there are some things that affect us looking at this world. So we can't see the whole thing. These are where perspective comes into place. We can't see the whole thing, so we can only see what the individual is looking at. Point of view. The individual's personal view can't be collectively what you are looking at. Even if I'm looking at it I'll be seeing it from my own point of view and not yours. So imagine a character standing on this point and looking at this point. Since his point of view is different, go back to the window. Our example, the eyes is the window. So what you might be seeing, if it's just a sphere, is just this world. You can't, since it's spherical. If you know geography, help us to talk about how prove that the world is spherical, it's round. One of the examples is you look directly at building or whatever, and you can't see things afar off. If it was all straight plane, if there's something here, I'm supposed to be seeing everything as they progress, the higher, but because it's spherical, things stay here, but after a while it comes down also, so we can't see the whole thing. So the same thing applies. So since I'm looking at the world, if there's nothing there, we can't see anything. Now I'm going to isolate this drawing, because it's from this point we start breaking things down. So I'm going to isolate the drawing, take those ones out, we take this and we expand. So now these are points of view, looking from a given perspective. Now we can't see things afar off. Now this is everything. It's the breakdown. It's the first thing you need to know to break out from that mental bondage where you think perspective is hard or it's mathematics. No, the mathematical part of perspective is irrelevant for us artists. The guide we use, maybe for drawing step or for drawing complex 3D angles, let's say a pole that is placed from a point close to us to the horizontal line down to the vanishing point, because they are placed symmetrically or in a kind of defined angle. Then we use some guidelines, but it's not math. It's not strong math, or you need to do some calculation. You just need to draw some angles, and those are for complex things. You can use your eye to hand coordination to create those kind of things, and it will be far better than using most of those calculations. Now let's continue. So from this point, we remember looking afar off. From this point, we get two important things. Number one, we get our horizontal line. Or horizon. And what is this horizon? Where the sky meets the land. If it's sea, the same thing, where the sky meets the sea. So from that point, this is land. You remember what we did with our example. This is land. Let me use something that will make it know. This is land. This is sky. This is sky. Very, very important. So now we know this is the first thing that is important. Then the second thing is vanishing point, and we are just going to say it's here in the midpoint. Vanishing point, also abbreviated as VP, vanishing point. And what is this vanishing point? The point where we can no longer see anything, because it's the end point. Most of the examples used, most books, when they talk about perspective, the first thing they talk about is train tracks, moving from one point to the other. If this is our vanishing point, let me bring that if this is our vanishing point, we have train tracks. So at this point, everything here is still there, but we can no longer see it because of the angle. They all end there. Very, very important. So vanishing point, horizontal line. Vanishing point, most of the time, I think I would say even all the time, stays on that horizontal line. Two very important things. Now, why is horizontal, the horizon line or the vanishing point important? It's because, remember what we said, it shows where the sky meets the earth. That is one of the main importance. It shows where the sky meets the earth. And why will that be important to us, where the sky meets the earth? Because the viewer is always between the sky and the earth. We looking at something, and most of the time human perspective is on the ground. Most of the time we don't fly, we are not birds, but I say between the sky and the ground plane. Why? Because there's bird eye view, looking at the world, from the sky, and see how everything, it's still the same sphere, but you can see everything down there. Let me start introducing some things. So most application will give you this 1 point perspective. 1 point perspective, still the same thing. This point you see here is the vanishing point we talked about. The vanishing point we talked about, horizon line will be in that point. But don't mess yourself up and say you are trying to, I want to get the exact line. That is where I say you start getting yourself in trouble, because it's not that important. It's not that important. The main thing you need to know is the idea behind perspective. Horizon line, vanishing point. So take note of that. So the way the individual, so this is 1 point perspective, there is also 2 point perspective. This is the 2 point. What do we notice from the 2 point perspective? Still the same thing. Horizon line is still there, influencing both of them. So there is also 3 points perspective, and after a while things start leaving the frame. And most of the time, even from 2 point perspective, your drawing will be inside your canvas, but most of the time those vanishing points are outside, to create a cool effect. But I don't want to complicate things. We are not going into those strong details. We are looking at it from the perspective for beginner. So don't get worried about those stuff. So now you know the 2 important things. So let's say we want to draw this stuff now. Since we know where the vanishing point is and where the horizon line, from there you can easily get the horizon line there. We can easily break things down. And how are we going to do that? Think in cube. One of the best tools for perspective for beginner artists, also for artists who are afraid of, who have that mindset when it comes to perspective, is the cube or the box. And why is it one of the easiest tools to use when it comes to perspective. It's because it covers the whole idea of perspective. If a cube stand in any platform or in any places in the air, if it's down, if it's up, you can easily tell the point it's standing on because of its edges. If a round surface, a sphere, is in perspective, it's hard to tell because of there's no much corners, especially when perspective has to do with lines. So if you have a ball that is sitting on the floor, you can easily tell. If it's up there also, you can easily tell, and that is because the box, the cube, it's very easy, for those kind of stuff. The same thing if it's a 2-point perspective or even a 3-point perspective. It's the same thing all over. The same thing if it's a 2-point perspective. So 2-point perspective. The same thing applies if it's on top. That is one thing with the box. It helps. It's one of the easiest tool to use when it comes to perspective. 3-point perspective, the same thing. The 3rd point now starts affecting the form. So from that you can easily tell that when one is different. This is 1-point perspective, 2 points, 3 points. So the cube, if it's a cycle, there's nothing. If it's a sphere, I always say cycle because of the shape. If it's a sphere, there's nothing you can do to make this distinction. So don't worry yourself about those lines, So now, how does this help us? Before we make the drawing, keep your character in boxes. There's a reference I have here so you understand what we are talking about. So you see why the boxes, the cubes are important. Now let's create an example with it, looking at this drawing. Remember, when we talk about drawing, we talk about big shapes first. So we are just going to do something quick. So if you start putting your character, think about it, we can see the top of his head. So we know definitely that helps us also. So if you think in boxes, we can see his back. Still think in boxes. You can see that twist the body is making. This back making that twist. You can also still put it in a box. And this is what I'm saying to help you in everything you do. We can see his hand. You can still put his hand in a box. You can put it in a cube also. But we are going to be using box because of what we talked about. The boxes. See his hand there. Still going to put it in a box. Fill the top there. Still in a box. This will be in a box. The fingers, put them in boxes. just boxes. And this is a very, very good exercise if you are a pro artist, if you are just starting. Very important exercise for you to do. For this is pelvic side rather. You can just do this and turn it into a box also. So I'm showing you everything so you understand. I hope you are learning something from this. If you want to see more videos on this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like. If you have any question, drop it in the comment box. I'll get back to you. I will reach out to you and answer. We'll put this on the box also. Feel that bone. That other part is under. Put this on the box also. Feel that bone. Feel the feet also on the box. I need to go into the eyes. But from this, you can start adding details if you are going for that. This is just a quick one. So from this, you can start adding your details. You have started with the big shape, then you can start working on the small shapes. You can add lights. Not that I'm following everything there. Just adding some lights for guide. This is not part of the stuff we are talking about. So everything is in perspective. So think in 3D. This is what we talk about when we say 3D. Don't be afraid or feel like it's something that is complicated. From this point now, thinking about it in boxes, in boxes, we can easily see the same way. I'm going to take that out. The same way we saw this in perspective and we knew that this box is sitting on a surface. For example, since we knew the box was sitting on the surface, why? Because we could see the top side. The same thing, looking at this character, first thing we can see the top side. See, this is the top side also, top. So easily you can know, because I can see those things, this character, though we can't see it here, though we can't see it here, but we know the character is on the surface. Even if he's flying, we, from our point of view, we're above the character. I hope you understand. So very, very important. And this don't just work for characters, it works also for background. And let's look at that now very quickly. And let's go back to the other image, and I'm going to be doing this fast. So the same thing we'll talk about horizontal line still applies there. So think about your horizontal line. But the same thing, horizontal line will be here. I know you might have seen videos of artists like Kim Jong-un. I'm not sure that is his name. I think Kim Jong-gi. I think also Karl Kopinski, yeah, and Peter Han, that draw without reference. These, they already know these basic things, and most of them know those angles, but you don't need to keep those angles in your mind and think, oh, I have to memorize this and this and that because of perspective. No, most of those artists you see that use those complex form, when they are drawing, they have the books close with them. You can see I'm not with any book. All this I'm teaching you is something I use. This is the way I draw. So it's something you already know. So this one, most people already know it, and that is how they draw. Whether you are painting, whether you are doing illustration, is the same thing. So don't be carried away. If you want to draw steps accurately, maybe you are given a commission, then you can go use those guides. But if you are doing something like this, you can just use your eye to hand coordination and get the thing you are looking for. So the same thing here, I'm already seeing how the forms push up and how everything push up. So the same thing apply here. I'm not seeing it here, but I'm breaking everything down into perspective. Before you even draw the main thing, we are not going to be following everything exactly there, because we are just making an example. So using a hand coordination, you can easily get that. I'm making changes because I realize we can't see the top of this point, so it's going to come down like this. Same with this, can't see the top. From this point, that I think looking at it closely, because I was thinking about it, definitely since we are standing from here, you already know the character is standing on this point and it's higher than the chair. Why? Because through the horizon line we know that. So you ought to be seeing the top of the chair. The reason you can't see it is because the top, there is no top, it's just completely upwards. So understand that. So but for ours, I'm going to draw the top since I've realized that. So I'm going to draw the top. I just want to give you guys a quick example that the same thing applies for backgrounds also. And you can have many takes, many passes rather. You do these passes or do this take, then you move to the next one, add another take. That's how you build drawings. So from this, you already start seeing everything we talked about, right? Horizon line, vanishing point, and all. So it's the same thing applies when going from perspective. If we look at it from the perspective of boxes, see, I'm not doing everything detailedly, just trying to show you that the same thing applies. Because of the way I drew the chair, can't add everything. The same thing applies. So once it comes close, it starts creating bigger space, because now you can see everything clearly. So you can see it. If I'm interested in other details, I can reduce the opacity and start adding other stuff. And most of the strong drawings you see out there, this is the way it's done. So don't beat yourself up about perspective. It's one of the easiest things when it comes to art. One of the easiest things to do. But when it comes close to us, the space starts expanding, because we can now see everything clearly. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you've learned something. If you have any question, drop it in the comment box and I'll reach out to you. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.